Hello homebrewers, and welcome to Homebrew Wild and Cheap. Hey fellow. So, I was looking at some kit wines, making some red wines from a homebrew shop, and I was like, well, drinking my coffee, which I'm going to do because I love coffee. So yeah, I was looking at kit wines online because I fancied, mixing some stuff up, and I also get inspiration for making stuff at home from, what other people produce. So, I got the idea in my head that I wanted to make a Shiraz red wine. Shiraz is a full body wine. It's got it's kind of dry. It's got fruity notes in it, sometimes blackberries, pears, things like that. It also has a kind of peppery taste. And I quite like that. I do like a Shiraz, a nice Shiraz. Now, they can vary in price anywhere from like a £5 to £25 a bottle, depending. I mean, they get more and more, but I'm not going to buy anything that, is more than, worth more than a car to drink just for drinking. So I decided that I'm going to make my own, because the kit wines that I saw online, a lot of them are done in 7 days. And the ones that I've used, they've always got these little sachets you add in, and why? So I've come up with this wine, this little kit wine. Everything costs £11. 11 whole pounds to make a gallon of hopefully nice Shiraz red wine at home for £11. Awesome. So in front of you is pretty much everything that we're going to be using. So I got myself 7 litres of grape juice to make 1 gallon. It's going to be fun. I got myself some Yeast Nutrient. Now it's not really needed because there's a lot of stuff in here there's already enough nutrients in this to ferment. But just to make sure, I'm going to add some in. Better to be safe than sorry since we're doing a kit wine. Now I've included a siphon tube. This cost me 99p for a meter, and it is the siphoning tube I used in my burnt meat video. I've included it because that's how much it would cost per meter, and 1 meter of that is enough to do the bottles. And it's easy enough for beginners to use because it's a very small tube. Takes a while, but you get a really good result, very, very little if no sediment. Last but not least is you're going to need a water container. This is a Tesco one. It cost me £1 because it was 2 for £2 way back when I bought a load. So I'm basing this on a brand new one, unopened water bottle containing water. This one has been sterilized. It's another step, but if you've bought the water bottle, not cracked the lid and just left the water in there, it's completely sterile, so you don't need to sterilize it. It's very good for beginners. Now, the additions that I'm going to be adding in for this particular wine, to make a nice simple one, I was going to add in oak, but I thought, well, getting oak chips can be a little expensive and it drives the price up. So, pepper. Most people have pepper in their house, so I'm using pepper. Now I'm going to be using 4 peppercorns, using 4 of them. And that's because I don't want it to overpower the flavors. I want it in the background, and I want it to be an aftertaste, not a foretaste. And I'm using all-purpose wine yeast. Now this is the red all-purpose ones, and it even has on the back, it even tells you it brings out the fruity flavors. It's a well-rounded, full of fruit flavors, suitable for any style of red wine. I can just read the back. It's fantastic. Now it is true that this particular yeast does give fruity flavors. So you do something, add this yeast, and it will bring out more fruity flavors and fruity notes that may not be in the wine. So just handy to know. If you want to make something that's really fruity, pop in a bit of this. Doesn't matter if it's not red wine, but you'll get some fruity notes in it. So the most important part of our little endeavor is this tool here. Now this is a chopstick. Oh yes, just a single chopstick. Now you can use a wooden spoon, a metal spoon, a slotted spoon, anything you want that can take a measurement. Now I'll get to the measurement bit in a second. And that is pretty much everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over the little stove and the pan, and we're going to get started. I have set everything up and moved things out of the way because we don't really need a lot of the stuff around. So 4 litres of the grape juice we have just put to one side because we don't need that. That is going to go in as is. What we have here are 3 litres, the remaining 3 litres. What we're going to do is concentrate this down into 1 litre of this. Ha ha ha. So that should be pretty damn awesome. So just over, it's this, each litre is going to be about 300 ml, 369-ish. Yeah, ish. Now, I could have just bought grape concentrate. These are the concentrated bottles. It's £2.50, £2.50 or £3, depending on where you get it, for a little 250 ml bottle. I need 4 of those bottles to make a litre to make up the remaining last bit. That would have cost me £10, going at the £2.50 rate. So it's cheaper to buy 3 of these and concentrate them down into 1. Ta-da! Who knew? So it's fairly simple. Got myself my chopstick and I've got myself a wide base pan. It's my usual pan. So the wider your pan is, the quicker the moisture can be driven off because there's a bigger space. There's the science behind it. But any pan will do. It'll just take some time. So I'm going to open my first one, like so, and chuck the first one in. Lovely. Quite a nice colour, to be fair. Remove the little bit of plastic that fell off. See, it's not a bad tasting. It's got a slight tan on the edge at the back, but it's really quite nice. So there is 1 litre in our pan, looking all sexy and pan-like. This is where the chopstick comes in. I'm now going to pop the chopstick in. Funny enough, that worked out very well for me. The 1 litre mark in this particular pan comes up to the square bit, the end of the square of the chopstick. Just double check. About the middle, yeah. So that is going to be my size guide. So when the 3 litres have boiled down to 1 litre, as in there on my chopstick, this is going to be done. Fantastic! So now, just open that one, pour it in. There's 2. And here is 3. Just making sure I got all of it out. That way. So, this is where I need it to be by the time it's finished. Just like the tip there. Put it in this way. And funny enough, this is currently how much is there, so from that down to about there, so this is going to take some time. This is the fun bit. So I'm going to be leaving the lid off because I want the maximum amount of water to be able to be evaporated off. I'm starting on a high heat, but I'm going to have to turn it down when it comes near to a boil. I don't want it to boil, I just want it to air off. I don't want to caramelize anything. Which is pretty fun, and since this is going in the boil to release the maximum amount of flavour, I'm going to get my 4 teeny tiny little peppercorns. Got myself a flat object, which just happens to be a bread knife, which the handle fell off. I'm just going to squidge them. Nice and flat, and a little chunky. Pop these in. Might as well do it on the boil, since, funny enough, pepper releases more flavour when it's boiling, so awesome. So 4 peppercorns, 3 litres, a lot of gas, and a hell of a lot of time. So what I'm going to do is basically go and sit down. This is probably going to take a few hours, doing it at a nice gentle pace so it doesn't burn the sugars. And yeah, we'll be back when this is reaching roughly the 1 litre mark. Awesome. So I will see you in a few hours. Hello, we are back. So it has been 2.5 hours of this being on. It's not a boil, it's not really a simmer, it's just under. It's just enough to make all the moisture dry off and go into the air, which is awesome. Got my measuring stick, otherwise the chopstick, and I put it in. And we are at about the 1 litre mark. Give it a taste. Ooh, it's concentrated. Funny that. Kind of bitter. So this can go off now. Yay. And we have 1 litre from 3 litres, which is pretty damn cool, I think. So just to see what the colour is, because you can't really see a lot in the pan, got myself 2 glasses. And I got myself my 4 litres of grape juice. So I'm just going to crack one open. And we'll pour just a little bit in there, and then I'm going to chuck in my apple juice. No, it's grape juice. I will get this right eventually. I'm so used to making things with apple juice. So there's 1 litre. I've put these in the fridge, so they are a bit cooler. So there's you. Throw in some more. And I'm going to check in, which one's colder? This one's colder. I'm going to check in the last litre in like so, and I've got this one that I'm going to probably add in. It really depends. If I've done this correctly, it should all fit perfectly with pretty much nothing left over. Right, there. So I've got my spoon. Stir this around. And it's already cold enough to stick on the side. Isn't that handy? So I'm just going to pour a little bit in this glass. I happen to have a handy funnel, so let's see if there's a colour difference. Actually, yes there is. This one, you can see through it just, but it's a lot darker. This one I can see the bottom very easily, nice and crystally. This one is kind of a nice deep red. So far our theory is right, it's got a nicer colour than the original one. Yes it is. This looks more like a red wine, so I can chuck this in, and I can chug this one in. Because we've done that bit, take away the floating bit that don't need. So what I've done is I've got my sterilised demijohn. I've got a sterilising video at the top, but if you've went out and bought your 1 gallon container, all you've got to do is pour the water out when you're ready to use it, and we're pretty much good to go. Now you can just use a jug, measuring jug, but I have a funnel, so I'm going to use a funnel. It's just going to make my job a little bit easier. So let's chuck this in. And it is a very nice deep red colour. In we pour. It's looking a good colour. I'm not going to argue, it does look a lot darker. So I've got leftover litre. So hopefully this will fill it pretty much to the top. Maybe a little bit left over, but not bad considering we used a chopstick as a measuring device. So just pour you in. Check that. That is how you fit 7 litres worth of juice in a 1 gallon container. So I added in, funny enough, I added in the 4 peppercorns, and I can't taste them. I really cannot taste anything going on in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust it with a couple more peppercorns. Mainly because we want that kind of peppery, fiery flavour that you get with a Shiraz. So 4 did nothing, so that's 16. So there we go. We are readjusting the pepper content. So altogether, there is a cheeky 20 peppercorns that I'm going to add in here. Now there are a couple of little bits in the bottom of this pan, but that's fine, we don't mind. So I've got my peppercorns, got my flat thing. Now I could just grind them in there, but there's no way of taking a real measurement, so working on peppercorns and a lovely sterilized side. So there we go. Hopefully this should bring out some peppery notes in it. Hopefully. Let's chuck this in. In you get. Like so. Looking all cool, give it a little swirl. It smells good. It doesn't taste bad actually. It's got some tannin in. It's got a lot more tannin in than it did before. And it's got a lot larger, darker appearance, which I'm not going to argue with. So I've got my sterilized hydrometer. This, if you don't have it, you won't really need it, mainly because if you follow the recipe, this will tell you how much it is. And it is, our survey says, it is hovering right around the 14% mark, which I think is pretty damn good. There's been no added sugar and we're just using cheap grape juice. So this is going to be 14%, which is very respectable for hopefully a high quality wine. So now comes the fun bit. We get to add the stuff. The things. I really like this. I mean, it's got a really good colour to it. A lot darker than, funny enough, just the grape juice on its own. So I am very keen to see how this is going to turn out. So what we're going to do is we're going to add in our yeast nutrient, just to make sure it gets off to a flying start, because, well, we can, and if you're doing this as a first brew or an early brew, you're going to need, just slightly under, just about a teaspoon. Just uses it up and gets it out of the way. So give it a little swirl, just to make sure it's all nice and in there. And now we're going to add in our yeast. Now you've got to make sure that it's, funny enough, about room temperature, and this is about room temperature. And because the 1 litre added to the 4 litres works out pretty much ice cold, especially if you refrigerate it. So again, if you want to know how much yeast you can use, the recommended amount of yeast to add in is 1/5 of a packet, because 1 packet will make 5 gallons. But then again, yeast propagates, so I just add in a small sprinkle, just like so. That should be more than enough to get it started. It will be a little slow for the first 24, maybe 48 hours, but to be fair, everything is sterilized. I know how it works. It's pretty damn good. So I'll use a teeny tiny sprinkle, so this will probably make anywhere to up to 100 litres, which is pretty cool. So there we go. I've tightened my lid. I'm just going to back it off a bit. He says, just so it bites, but it doesn't. It's got movement, but it's still on there if you pull it upwards like so. And that is our airlock done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label this off the camera, because you don't need to see it. But this is a 14% faking it kit wine. So this is going to be pretty interesting to see how this turns out. So I hope you enjoyed this video, because I have, even though it took a couple of hours of slowly under simmering stuff. Not quite a simmer, but it was actually quite a lot of fun. And yummy. Put you there. I mean, even the leftover grape juice. That's it. Even the leftover grape juice, I can tell which one is which. This one is the original, and this one is the one that we've processed. It is a lot darker. Funny that. So, yeah. This is it. So I hope you enjoyed this, and check out some of my other videos. Comment, subscribe, you know, usual stuff. And we will see how this lovely tasty wine turns out. So cheers guys.